Hello, and welcome to the Rankin Report for Sunday, April the 30th, 2023. Glad you take the time to be with us today. The reading for today is from the book of 2 Kings, chapters 10 and 11. Yes, 2 whole chapters. Now, obviously, I'm not going to read all that here. It would take much too long. But you can look this up easily enough. And it is the accounts of 2 efforts to restore the worship of the Lord. Well, perhaps not fully that, but to end Baal worship in Israel and in Judah. And the first step in reestablishing any covenant that a nation has with the Lord, specifically the covenant this nation has with the Lord, was taken as God reached out to the people with signs and wonders in order to bring us back to himself. The next step is taken by the people as they pursue God with extravagant, unfettered worship of him. Look at the revivals that were breaking out in Kentucky and in other such places, usually on college campuses. As these steps are taken, however, the enemies of God become louder and more aggressive because the demonic forces at the heart of the wicked moves that lead us to not even recognize the nation we have been born into anymore know that as the people turn back to God, they are driven closer to their own eternal punishment. When people turn to God, they turn away from illicit sex, sometimes just simple fornication or adultery, but in a lot of cases it's also leading to sex with children, child trafficking, drugs, worship of Satan, greed for money, power, or both. And as these false gods lose worshipers, the demons behind them lose power, so they're not happy and they get louder. So the next step in the process must be the eradication or the turning away from all the false gods of the land. And no, it's not just eradication. It is destroying the things that they are worshipped with. And we have to do a better job of it than did ancient Israel. In these 2 chapters from 2 Kings, we see the divided kingdom both take steps to restore Israel and Judah to the Lord. In Israel, this, which was the 10 tribes of the people that split away from Judah, this meant Jehu killing the priests of Baal and tearing down that idol's temple. Unfortunately, the golden calves that Jeroboam first set up as an alternative to worshiping the Lord remained. In Judah, they went further, not just in removing false gods, but to stress full adherence to the covenant with the Lord. The problem with these actions taken in the past, however, was their impermanence, brought on largely by the fact that the leaders of the people, the government of the nations, if you will, the kings of Israel and Judah, led the reforms. Such actions must come from the hearts of the people, and when such reform movements happen from the top down, people obey. But there is always a group of people who harbor resentments about the changes. Perhaps those unhappy with the loss of Baal worship profited from the worship of idols and lost their hope of making money. Maybe the ones who enjoyed the unrestrained sexuality of Baal worship missed the unending party that went on at Baal's temple. The reason is unimportant. The point is, these people resented to having straightened up their act and probably made disparaging private comments about worshiping the Lord, much as people in the 1960s and 1970s, and even up to today, attempt to portray groups like the Puritans and other people who were devoted to the Lord as a bunch of Debbie or Donnie Downers who just want to spoil people's good time. And when a new king arises who advocates a return to that work, to Baal worship, they are quick to jump on the bandwagon. The party's back on again. In this part of the history, we see why God was not happy with the Israelites' call for a monarchy to be installed in the nation instead of God ruling directly over the people. He even told Samuel, the book of Samuel, you find this account in, don't worry about it, Samuel. It's not you they're rejecting as king, but me. And we see the problem with installing a monarchy because monarchies are made up of human beings. And sooner or later, humans blow it. We also start to see during the Reformation the development of the concept of non-coercion in matters of faith in Jesus that is the largely forgotten hallmark of the Puritans and other reformist groups. The difference between then and now is that the enemies of God are becoming more open, more vocal, and have removed their filters in showing their true murderous colors in attacking believers and making open threats to do more. Look at what happened in Nashville. There was another incident also of a man who described himself as transsexual, making open threats to murder Christians. The only way to get rid, now granted, before I go further, not all of them do this, but this is the end result of some people who may have had emotional problems to begin with, seeing that their way of expressing themselves was in danger, and so decide to deal with the threat directly. The only way to get rid of the perversions and demonic influences that our society currently suffers from is for the real, one and only God to show up and show people what fakes these others are, leading to what I like to call the freedom to reject what is not God. The Lord is showing up. He is doing just that. And we need to be pointing out these appearances and these signs and wonders. The news media isn't doing that. And in some cases, even Christian media is missing the whole picture here. Now keep in mind that, despite violent incidents in Nashville and other places, the battle ultimately is spiritual. If we continue to engage in spiritual warfare against the demonic forces behind these incidents, then, Lord willing, this will not become a physical battle, a second American Civil War. The only force capable of turning the hearts of the people around is that of the Holy Spirit working through believers, overpowering God's enemies in the Spirit, and bringing lost souls into the kingdom. As the late Reinhard Bonnke once put it, plundering hell to populate heaven. Someone once said the next Apostle Paul is out there right now, en route to his or her Damascus Road moment. And perhaps this will apply to more than one person, to groups of people. Those of you who study the scriptures know what Paul wrote, which is more than half the New Testament. Imagine what the Holy Spirit will show others who accept him and reject what is false. Pray for the Great Awakening. No king but Jesus. Independence forever. That's the Rankin Report for Sunday, April 30th, 2023. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoy these teachings. Share if you wish. God bless you. Have a great day.